What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 1 on Peeling the Banana with your host, Breland Almadova, which means it's showtime.
Hey, that was pretty smooth.
And my co-host for the day is Henry Marken, and he's going to help me with this whole show on my first launch of this whole thing of peeling the banana and basically unraveling life, unraveling professional sports, Savannah Bananas, emotional health, mental health, and everything in between. And so it's my pleasure, Henry. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing me on and allowing me to do this with you. I know there's obviously a lot to unravel with you, and I'm happy I get to kickstart this journey with you. I know you're going to do great things. You know, just the whole one tee off with you is just as bad as all I need, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, right. I mean, thank you to Eric Burns and this no filter platform. I mean, I'm just something I've been dreaming about for a while, and just something to express myself, but also express the stories of others.
Yeah, of course. And it sounds like you have a very specific niche that I think honestly needs more light. Just the world of collegiate athletes that are in that semi-pro to almost professional realm. I mean, you hear about everyone that follows their dreams and makes it to the big leagues, you know, the NFL, NBA, MLB, and likewise, but there's hundreds of thousands, millions of people that are in that I almost made it. And that realm of AAA baseball or club sports. And they have lives too. And that often, I think that often gets overlooked and doesn't get enough attention. And there's some really cool and awesome and organic stories and experiences that come from that. And you, my man, I think you have a one-of-a-kind tale, many ups and some downs in there, but that's kind of life. And I'm very happy you're opening up a forum to talk about it.
I mean, I don't know anyone that really goes through professional baseball, 12 years, going to be 13 next year, and has never made it to the big leagues or even made it to Double-A, and it's just been a total grind. Like, I have so many friends that will go through this journey but cut it short either because they have other goals in life or other responsibilities like a wife, a girlfriend, financial problems. And, I mean, the places I've been, the people I've met has totally been amazing, and there's nothing better really that I'd rather be doing, even though, I mean, the money isn't the best, but hey, the good, the bad, I take it all. And I mean, it's where I'm at now, and you know, I get to tell that story now.
Yeah. So let's jump right into it. Obviously your journey is less than a linear path. It's somewhat of a serpentine being that has many loops and twists and turns. You want to just start at the beginning, kind of the beginning of all of this, or where do you think you should jump off from here?
I mean, there's no better place than the genesis of a whole story. So,
sure.
College, University
college.
of Hawaii, right? 3 years, drafted in 2012 by the Diamondbacks in the 37th round, which that draft actually was the first draft that they made it the like the slotted rounds.
Right.
And so to me, I thought I got screwed because I was planning on going.
What does that mean exactly? What does that mean? There's a slotted round.
So the first 10 rounds, each team has like I don't really know exact details, but what I know of it and understand of it is you have an allotted amount of money per slot.
Sure.
So like there'll be guys, let's say their first rounder gets signed for $9 million, and their budget for those first 10 rounds for those slots is $15 million. So now they got to figure out $6 million to divvy up between your second round pick and your 10th round pick. So like you could put all your money into the first round, and everyone else is kind of just a draft pick, or you know. So, but obviously, you know, teams and organizations want to treat it all fairly. But I think because of it was the first year for that slot thing, it was a tough year for the draft and for guys that were expected to go higher. Like I definitely thought I was a 3rd round to 10th round pick, and unfortunately I had to wait till the last day and the 3rd to the last round to get a call and said, "Hey man, we drafted you." And and some tears were shed of sadness before everything, and then some tears were shed of happiness after that. And was fortunate enough to go and play for the Diamondbacks in their minor league system for about 4 years, 4 seasons. Ended up winning a championship my rookie year, which was probably the most cool. I mean, I played with guys like Jake Lamb, who's been around the big leagues for quite some time. And, I mean, just throughout every spring, I've been able to play with guys like Goldschmidt and Didi Gregorius and A.J. Pollock and Greinke even. I mean, I got to witness this guy. We were waiting for umpires one spring, and it was like they were like 20 minutes late, and Greinke was starting, and he ends up sitting Indian style on the mound, just like chilling, waiting, like cross-legged Indian style. Like, this is one of the weirdest guys I've ever got to meet and know. But I mean, the guy is a baller when it comes to baseball, and he's an absolute genius. So I mean,
what date was that? Like that general time period you're with the D-backs right away?
2012. I signed in June, and I played in their rookie season till September. And so basically June to 2012 to March 31st of 2016 is my stint with them. And I was released on the last day of spring when all my bags were packed and loaded on the bus to go to Mobile. Go to AA. And so the first hiccup in my career was that, and I get to the field ready to have just an easy practice, and I literally walk in and one of the coaches grabs me and walks me to the office. I'm like, oh no. Fuck. And probably one of the saddest days of my life, thinking, man, I'm going to go to AA finally. I thought I earned it. I hit a career with them, 271, I think, in my 4 stints there. I won a Gold Glove. And for minor leagues, winning a Gold Glove is like probably more prestigious than winning it in the big leagues, because you're competing against every single minor league player, right? And there's only nine spots, and I got one of them as a center fielder. So that was a big ass award for me, and something I'm still proud of to this day, since every year I go into baseball priding myself on my defense. And so that's at home in the trophy room. But man, I got into the office and they put a paper down. I signed it. I literally had nothing to say other than thank you, and I don't know why I said thank you, because they're like, we're going to release you, and I said thank you. Like, it's I'm just like shocked out of my freaking mind. And so I mean, that was rough. And then I go into my whole indie ball for 7 years, just grinding away from St. Paul Saints in the American Association to
so walk me through. I mean, you gotta let's dumb it down for the average listener. I mean, there's so many leagues and so many different even categories of club baseball. The second you're not in the traditional, single A, double A, triple A, like what is that realm like? And walk me through that one.
Well, as a affiliated guy, you kind of walk into the clubhouse and into independent ball with, like, 1, a chip on your shoulder, but 2, a sense of entitlement. And that's probably the worst way to go about it, thinking like, well, I'm this big hot shot guy coming from affiliated ball, and you're going into indie ball where some guys never even played professional ball in their life. And you kind of go in there with a big ego, thinking, all right, I should get all the playing time. I should, be able to put up numbers because it's going to be easy, and get back to signing with another major league team. But that's not the case. I mean, this is probably a harder grind than even being just in a major league organization. I mean, the travel's harder, the hotels are worse, and you're playing like American Association is basically from a team from Canada all the way down to Texas. So you're playing a wide range, and it's all by bus. Whereas you play like in a single A California league, all the teams are in California. So your longest drive is maybe 5 hours. But like indie ball, you're getting guys straight out of college to guys that maybe have even a couple years in the big leagues. So you're getting talent from a huge ass spectrum. And
Sure.
I mean, it kind of was just a culture shock, especially me not doing as well as I expected in my first couple years. Probably mainly because I put so much pressure on and thinking like, oh, I'm better than everyone. And, I shouldn't be here. And so that kind of affected my mental game.
Right.
And I think that's what kept me in indie ball for so long. It's just my mental health, my mental game was not on par with how a big leaguer's mindset should be, and how a real pro does it in any kind of professional sport.
Right. And I was gonna say, I mean, you're not exactly staying at the Ritz Carlton.
No, I mean, like, we're staying at a Red Door Inn or something. I mean, there's hotels that will have blood stains on the sheets. I mean, bugs crawling. So
Sweet.
I mean, that's just part of it, right? And that's why major leaguers get paid so much. I mean, Major League puts Major League Baseball on this pedestal, and that's why there's all these lawsuits of, well, why does Major League guys get paid so much and minor league guys get treated like crap? It's because, like, the prestigiousness of Major League Baseball is just, like, so high. Like, they glorify it so much. But at the same time, it's like you look back, it's like, well, guys playing professional sports, he shouldn't be making less than your typical freaking fast food worker. I mean, right. if you broke it down hourly, we were getting paid like $4 an hour.
Holy
like guys are getting paid. My first year, I was only getting paid like $1,200 a month. So after taxes, I was getting $400 like a paycheck. I mean, like, you got to think like you got to survive on that.
Yeah, no way. So that's my next question is, like, what's life like just as a minor leaguer? Like, just what you waking up and going to bed and everything in between that. How is your mental state? Like, how do you keep it together and keep yourself motivated to play baseball when you're making $4 an hour?
You do it because it's a dream. You do it because that's like what your goal was not only to play pro baseball and to get paid to play a sport, but like to further that, it's our dream and goal to play in the big leagues. And that's everyone's goal. I mean, anyone that plays baseball is to be the next Mike Trout, to be the next Ohtani, to be the next Nomar Garciaparra, Ortiz. I mean, all these guys, especially like Jeter, who's, just a legend with the Yankees and in baseball. But I mean, like, our main goal of playing baseball is because we want to make it to the big leagues, make a lot of money, and be able to support our family and support our future endeavors whenever our career decides to end. I mean, and that's usually, the first goal. And then you look back, and I'm 33 now, and I look back, it's like, well, the first couple of years I definitely, played it to make the big leagues. And then the last 3 or 4 years I've played it because it's a game and it's supposed to be fun. And so that's where I've kind of started to learn, like, the true mental aspect of the best way of playing the game for me. And that's just having fun rather than looking at results and looking at, well, I have to make the big leagues or else, this whole career means nothing.
Right. Was there ever a point in time when it just wasn't fun? Like, like the grass truly was greener on the other side of baseball doing something else. The dream was gone. Walk me through if there was any sort of point in your life that reflected.
Well, it was for sure my first year with St. Paul Saints. I mean, I only hit .250. I mean, sure, like, we made the playoffs, but mentally, I mean, it was fun, playing the game, but in between all of that and practicing, it was just like going through the motions. Like, you try to find ways to get better, but then you get stuck in this rut, and you kind of lose you lose the fun, you lose the excitement out of it, and after a couple years, like, I won a championship in 2018 with the Sussex Miners. That was a fun year, but like, you still got to think I'm only making maybe then now $600 every 2 weeks.
Right.
And so, like, playing the game, man, it's the most fun. in between all of that, it's really not fun because then, I mean, like it's part of the journey, it's part of the process of like, well, you got to sacrifice all of this in order for you to, do your dream and play a game, because I'm pretty sure anyone would love to trade places if they don't look at finances, but play a sport as a career.
Right. So how long was that path? So we're talking indie ball, and you were in the same
indie ball, 16, all the way to like COVID hit, and that's where I really found the love of the game and the most fun. Like in COVID year, I was able to get in that Constellation Energy League that Sugarland Skeeters was holding. So it's a 4-team league. Mm-hmm. The Slots, the Skeeters, Tigers, and Team Texas. Like Roger Clemens was managing the Team Texas game or team. Wow. Yeah. And his son Cody and Casey were both on that team, and I think Cody's in the big leagues now, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's Cody.
Familiar. Yeah, it sounds
familiar. So Cody. So I mean, like I got to play with a bunch of guys that weren't in the big leagues and just needed a place to stay. That was a time when minor leagues was looking for independent leagues to like have their guys go and play since that was when they were cutting teams. But my team, I mean, like we would have so much fun to where it was a show and go every game, and after every game, me and a bunch of teammates would just hang out. We'd go get high, have the munchies, and just have a great freaking time. Like that was the time where we all would just let loose. We literally gave zero fucks and went out and balled. And that's probably one of the best years I've ever had. Like I hit over 300, played tremendous defense. Our team, almost everyone hit 300. Like we were singing and dancing, like all of this in the locker room and in the field. I mean, that's when I truly found the love of the game and just having fun, is letting loose and not having pressure of scouts and all this and all that. Like I honestly finally just didn't care what I produced on the field as long as what I could control, was happening. And it was all about just having fun.
And you think that, I mean, obviously reflecting a great period of mental blissness, but you think like kind of letting go and just having fun with the game, does that reflect better on-field performance? Even though you're not thinking about it, does it actually produce better results, better stats?
If you look at my stats, then yes, that's a fact, I think. I mean, from COVID to what I've been doing now for the last almost four years, by me just playing loose, having fun, just really not caring about results. Mm-hmm. I've had better at-bats. I've had better stats, better relationships with like teammates and coaches. So I do think just having fun and not worrying about the stats and putting pressure on yourself and having all these expectations to like, oh, I got to do this and I got to do this and I got to do this in order to make it bigger and make more money. Like if you really just leave that at the door and leave the ego there too. One, you'll have fun. Two, you'll play better. And I mean, that's my advice to any kid growing up too, is like getting a base hit or striking out. It doesn't matter because the baseball is all about second chances. You're going to get 4 at bats minimum sometimes, in a game. So you could go 0 for 3 the whole game and you end up hitting the walk-off hit. No one cares about the three times you got out, because you're the hero. And that's what I finally was learning about the game. It's like, it doesn't matter what happened then, but what can you do now to make an impact of the game? And that's what made it so much more fun. It's just forgetting and leaving things in the past, but at the same time learning from it so that you can correct it and make it better come the next opportunity.
Boy, that's a hell of a gem you just laid out there. I'm going to grab that for sure, and we're going to apply that to a message and a question later. But right now, I want to connect another dot here. So talking COVID year 2020, you're playing the best ball in recent years. You're having the most fun. How does this then lead to the Savannah Bananas? So, like, where do we go from here?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like I mean, I look back and just think like, man, if I don't do this or I don't do that, I don't end up with the Bananas. Or, if this happens, um, there's so many other avenues I could have gone and not have the Bananas as part of my life. Um, but for everything that's happened, I've been so grateful for it. And so, like in 2021, I played on 4 teams, and my last team of that year was the Lexington Legends, and I didn't play that much. It was kind of a frustrating year, just bouncing around, literally driving to four different cities across the country just to play on a team. And I finally found my last two months of that season with the Legends, and I did well for the times that I did play. But other than that, I was just like my role was just a clubhouse guy, and try to keep the energy up, and we ended up winning a damn championship. So it's like I got 3 rings now, in professional baseball. But after that season, I was struggling to find any team that would sign me again. So I reached out to a teammate that I played with during that Legends season, and he said, "Oh, I'm gonna play with the Savannah Bananas," and I'm thinking like, well, like I've heard of them. My ex-girlfriend said, "Why don't you play with them?" Like this was back in like 2018 and 19. I just keep telling her like, no, like they're literally a college team. I cannot play for them. So I asked him like, what's the deal? Like, aren't they just a college team? And he's like, well, yeah, but like they're trying out this new thing called Banana Ball, and there's tryouts. And so he hooked me up with one of the front office people, and I was able to fill out a tryout form. And at the time, I was in Hawaii, enjoying my off season on a beach, just enjoying 75-degree weather.
Right.
But my dad is up my ass about trying to find teams for next year. And well, I'm thinking like indie ball doesn't usually start till February, March, April, maybe like May. So I'm like, all right, well, I got March and April to like, find a place to practice, play, get some scrimmages in. And that Banana Tour, which was a 7-city tour, was during March and April. And tryouts were held, I want to say, in February. So from the time that my tryout form got accepted to the time the tryouts was probably about a month. So from January, and then I want to say 3 days before, no, maybe a week before the tryouts, I flew from Hawaii to Phoenix, where I usually leave my car for the off season.
Right.
Packed up my stuff.
What does that mean? Is that like sort of like the general practice is just dumping your shit all over the country just randomly?
I got shit all over this freaking country. Like any city that I've played in, I've either got a storage unit there, or I left something at a friend's house. I mean, so I got a storage unit in Phoenix. My car is registered out in Arizona. So like if I do cross country trips, like almost every off season, I would drive back to Phoenix because that's where my career started. That's where I was playing with the Diamondbacks. And at the time, I was able to live with a best friend of mine from middle school days back at home.
Yeah. And
he had a house there. He went to ASU. So we'd party and stuff during the off season. But that's just like my second home at the time. And when COVID hit, that's when I put everything in a storage unit and I went back home. So I got stuff there. I got now stuff in Savannah, where I ended up moving to. Got stuff in Hawaii. I got a trailer out in Colorado that a family member's holding on to. I just got shit everywhere. All right, like I've been a nomad for almost 13 years now.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. I mean, it's part of the journey. It's a little frustrating knowing I got all these things just fucked up everywhere. But the best part is I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. So a week before the tryout, I fly to Phoenix, grab my car, cross-country road trip all the way to Savannah.
Mm-hmm.
I sleep in my car the night before the tryout because I'm like, I don't have money. I'm not staying in a hotel. I've slept in my car before. It's actually nice and cool here since it's towards the end of winter. Sleep in my car, show up to the tryout, and, you know, it's all about expressing yourself and standing out. So I ended up wearing this flamingo romper that I actually got from one of my best friend's brother, who's actually gay, and we were having fun at his house and going through his stuff, and we were kind of doing like a whole drag show thing and having fun.
Right.
And so he's like, dude, you can keep the romper. And I was like, bro, that is so awesome. So that was like a year ago, and I'm like, well, I can either go as a hula dancer kind of thing and stick with the like Hawaii theme. And at the time, Amazon wasn't going to deliver on time. So I was like, well, I got the romper. So let's put the romper on. But walk into the tryout, I see everyone dressed up. And I'm this scared little shy piece of shit. And I put a jacket on and cover everything up. I'm like,
no,
oh, man, I'm scared. Like, I'm still an introvert, you know, at heart. And that's when we all, you know, go up in the stands, and the first guy to talk is Eric Burns. And I'm like, I thought that guy was a player. Like, he looked around 25 with his curls coming out of his hat with these big Oakley glasses. And once he started talking, and he's like, I'm your manager, and he's hyping us up. That's kind of when I felt better and just started to go into the tryout and just be like, fuck it, man. Just go have fun. Yeah. Lay it out. Whatever happens. You know.
Bernsey, he's got that charisma. You know, the guy.
Bernsey is a hype man all day, every day. I mean, he's on his footboard every morning with his coffee cup and his thumbs up. So he's a shining light in this world that I think we all need at times.
Oh my God, for sure.
But I had a killer tryout. We ended up getting picked. I think that day they picked 40 guys out of 100, and I had to drive up to my sister's place in North Carolina while like they had like two days of like mediating and figuring out which 20 is going on the Bananas, which 20 is going on the Party Animals.
Right.
So I found out I'm on the Party Animals, so I drive back 2 days later. 7-city tour starts, and I mean, and that's all she wrote basically. And it's I was with them that 7-city tour. I was with them for most of the 2023 tour, which was 33 cities. But I mean, thanks to Savannah Bananas, Jesse Cole, Emily Cole, the two owners, I was able to continue my love for the game and fun in the game, and most fun since that 2020 COVID season.
Yeah.
And, you know, just being part of something so special, so outrageous that no one else is doing, I'm totally grateful for. And, like, I still get excited about it, you know, thinking, like, man, I would love to be on that field in front of sold-out crowds every single day.
You know, I mean, you showed me your highlights, and you showed me just, I mean, I've seen games, I've seen stuff with you live. I've seen, you know, not without knowing you, but I mean, some of the events and tricks and bits during the game. It's a great show. It's a really impressive and awesome and just super creative piece of entertainment. But the amount of pure athletic skill and coordination that is required for these stunts and these moments. I mean, I'm looking at you in the outfield playing friggin' ping pong, and then all of a sudden you got to track down a fly ball, run clear across right field, left field, and just make an outstanding grab. Not to mention it just seems you're never still. You're always moving, whether there's like an added dance or a jump or just some sort of pizzazz. Every single, like the amount of coordination and athleticism and pure skill that is at display with you, with everybody. It's honestly incredible, really.
Yeah. Looking back at it all, I truly believe I was I was and am still the best showman of that show. Like,
Really?
no one did what I did. No one took risk like I did. No one, I think, had the most fun than I did. I maybe didn't do a bunch of the scripted stuff, other than when we had to do like a team celebration.
Yeah.
But I was the most random, the most impromptu, the most interactive guy that could ever be on that field. Play baseball with such a high skill level and skill set, but at the same time entertain and interact with fans. And I still have yet to see anyone prove me otherwise. And that was, just being part of that show was my home. It was my freedom. It was my freedom in baseball. It was my freedom to express myself, to stand out for once.
Yeah.
And I did everything from a random headstand on running the bases to taking out beach chairs out in the outfield and just hanging out and taking my shirt off.
Right.
I did the most random, crazy, fun things that you could do in entertainment on a baseball field.
So, listeners, the interesting thing about the Bananas organization, there's two teams. It's the Savannah Bananas, and they play the Party Animals. It's very much like the Harlem Globetrotters play the Washington Generals. It's sort of like these games that happen. The two teams play each other at the same time, but you guys are almost characters in a way, right? You guys have like these personas on the field. You mentioned there's scripts and there's like these like planned activities, but then you're doing a lot of stuff off script, like just via how the ball's squirting off the bat, or if you have an extra moment to do a flip or just some crazy acrobatic move. That's where I think you're right in the sense that there's so much uncontrollable talent that you had, and you were a perfect storm with that organization, with that general idea of creative baseball.
Yeah, so our owner Jesse always says whenever you step out of the dugout, or not even that, whenever you step out of the locker room, you're on stage. Right. So yeah, we were all looked at as characters, and we all tried to come up with this character that we wanted to like display. Like I eventually went from the real Smoothie King, self-proclaimed, to Jesse gave me the idea, well, why not, since you're Hawaiian and you're always about flash and you're coming in with all these crazy outfits like to the game and just in style, like why not be the style in Hawaiian? So I embraced that totally, and I was like always finding a way to up my style, whether it be, riding the bus and just walking 5 minutes to the locker room, like anytime I could stand out, I was trying to be a styling guy and wear glasses and hats. And like my character on the field was wearing a fedora and aviators with the tightest fit baby gap clothes I could put on. Like everything was a tight fit with three eye black stripes. That was my character, and everything was flash. It was random, it was flash, and it was style. All that incorporated with athletic ability.
So you talk about the moment that you even walk out of the locker room, we're live, it's recording.
Yeah.
What was it like working for Jesse Cole? The guy's a
genius.
Guy's a genius. He's like
he's a marketing genius, putting together a show that no one else is doing, incorporating baseball and creating your own rules. No one else is doing it. The wait list for this next season is over 2 million. That's unheard of. Their TikTok, when I first joined in 2021, was maybe 1 million. And within this past tour, I think they're over 10 mil. Wow. So that growth is absolutely stupid. Like the marketing team, the entertainment team, from merchandise team. Everyone is on the same level as Jesse, trying to be bigger, better, faster. But at the same time, he's growing it. He's been growing it since 2016, since he started. So, but at the rate that it's grown in 2 years is incredible. But like working for him, hey, he knows what he wants. He, and he almost demands perfection, even though the game and the show is never going to be perfect. But you just watch him on the field. He something doesn't go right, he's pacing back and forth. He's biting his nails. He's got this this is his look when something's not right, or he's thinking, or it's actually fun to watch as a player I'm trying to have fun. Then you see Jesse, and he's with his staff trying to get this whole he's trying to be the director at the same time he has an entertainment director, directing it. So he's definitely, he tries to control things, but in the end, at the end of the game or end of the show was perfect. Mm-hmm. Even because the fans will never know what we did right or what we did wrong or what was supposed to happen or what didn't happen. Fans will never know. But working with him and his dream of what he wants Banana Land to be and Banana Ball. I mean, he gets everything from Disney. That's his main role model, and So it's actually one of the most funnest places to work.
You would say he's like the modern Walt Disney, right?
Yeah. Yep. I mean, he is the yellow man in tux. You can never not find him when he's around Banana Land.
So obviously the elephant in the room here is, and one of the main reasons why you're out here today speaking about this is because you are no longer with the Savannah Bananas, the Party Animals. You are no longer with that organization. Is there what would you like to talk about as far as that chapter of this ongoing story of your life?
Shoot, man, that chapter, my Savannah Banana Party Animal chapter ended abruptly, unexpected. I I bought this home in January thinking, oh man, I'm gonna have some of the most best couple years of my life playing with the Bananas, and so I invested in myself and invested in the Bananas, thinking well, I know I'm the best at this and I'm going to be sticking around for a while. But come to find out, July 10th ended up, actually that morning was amazing. We were loading the buses for an 8 o'clock departure to North Carolina. I woke up feeling great, maybe a little flustered because I hate packing bags and always thinking man, what did I forget? But so I go to the field to put my equipment on the bus that's headed to North Carolina. I wasn't going to ride the bus that morning. And I get back to the house because me and two other guys on the Party Animals were going to carpool. And I end up, just as we were about to leave, this is 7:53, and we planned on leaving at 8. I look at my phone and I got a text saying, can you come to the office? We got to talk about a ticket situation. Right. And I'm like, oh, fuck, here we go. Because rolling up to that point, I've always been the guy that expressed myself, was outspoken, always trying to get details and ask questions why and how. And, because I was the older guy, probably the guy with the most experience between Party Animals and the Bananas as far as professional baseball. Our coaches never played professional baseball. So, I mean, I could say I'm the one with the most experience in-house and out-of-house as far as professional baseball goes and how it's run. So I'm always looking out for the guys, because I've been through it all. Right. But anyways, I get into the office. I got a coach, I got director of ops, and two other guys. One of them is standing over me like he's a security guard. And so, I don't know what they thought was going to happen, but they slammed a thread down of a private chat between me and the rest of the Party Animal teammates. Right. And I look at this printed out thread. I'm like, oh, shit. And the thread... And the thread is me just saying some really not great things about the Banana organization because of a thing that so a couple days before this, they mentioned to the team and to everyone that they're changing the ticket situation. Right. And the original ticket situation was there's a piece of paper with 2 rosters in the locker room on game day. You sign up, you sign the names on the paper. Every player gets 2, and and that's easy to trade tickets, ask a player for tickets. It's easy to write it in. The way they changed it was all through computer, and there's a deadline. And if you don't sign up, they made it a little harder for players to get extra tickets, or you had to trust another teammate to sign up the tickets for you, right? So we're all venting in this chat. Remember now, it's only party animals. Only about 15 to 18 of us. And
right.
Well, we're all venting. We're all talking crap. Like, how are we supposed to get tickets? All this, blah, blah, blah. And I go in there heated as normal because I'm like, man, like, that's not how it's supposed to be. Like, they're making it harder for the players. And I'm always about having it easy for the players because the show is about the players.
Right.
We're the ones putting out the content. We're the ones doing the stunts. We're the show. Right? And so I just want to help the guys and, and be that voice because, no one would really speak up other than me. But I went in that chat literally in this living room. I remember doing it. I wrote in some not so good things that you definitely shouldn't be saying at all.
Right.
And you definitely get canceled for in 2023. But in my eyes, it's a total joke and just a frustration, and putting it in a chat where I can trust the boys. Right. Like locker room talk and team chats, that's like sacred. Whatever happens in that locker room or team chat should never ever get out. Like that's just a bro code of baseball. Right. A bro code of any kind of locker room.
Right.
But anyway, so I'll get back to that. But they slammed that paper down. They slammed down the contract and said I violated the contract and we're releasing you. And on top of that, they're banning me from Grayson Stadium for 2 years, which in my mind is outrageous. Like, so I never even got an explanation. That was all I got. I sat there, just don't know what to do. Like my life literally changed within 30 minutes of me about to leave for North Carolina to go play in Durham and Kannapolis. To my whole life has altered in a second. Packed up my stuff in the locker room, and I was out. And that's the last time I stepped foot in that stadium. But it was basically that thread.
Yeah, there's lots to unpack here, and let's just kind of go one by one. So
like, the only way I got caught was because one of my teammates ended up snitching on me. They threw me under the bus of that thread. They showed somebody, whoever it was, somebody in the front office, obviously. And, like what I said, I didn't mean to offend anyone. Like, I'm still very, very regretful, and I'm very sorry for, like, what I said. And I take full, like, responsibility for my actions. Like, I'm the one that fucked up, Right. But in the end, like, I look back and it was a code of conduct that's an unwritten rule in baseball and professional sports of you have a teammate that you thought you could trust and he throws you under the bus. The thread literally showed a hand holding the phone and there's another phone taking a picture of it.
Wow.
So, like, and that chat is only party animals. Like, no one else was on it. So, obviously, it was a party animal phone showing somebody else that didn't have that thread.
Obviously, you're
and right there, life changed.
Yeah. Obviously, you're remorseful about what you said, and there's definitely some regret. But I guess my question is, is it so far out of context? Is it so different than what is said in an everyday locker room scenario. Like, I guess to put it bluntly, if there was a bug, if there was a microphone or a bug in your locker room, would it be just you that gets caught, or is that just vernacular, everyday vernacular in the locker room?
Let's just say, let's say we put a bug in every single professional sports locker room, even college locker rooms.
Sure.
No one would have a job. Everyone would be canceled.
Right.
We say some of the dumbest, stupidest, meanest things you could ever say inside a locker room because we trust that space. I mean, it's guy talk. It could be girl talk, you know, if it's a girl's locker room. I mean, anything goes because we know it's a trusting space and nothing is supposed to be leaked out. Like what happens in there stays there, just like Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Right.
Unless, you know, you get a STD, then that goes with you somewhere else.
I think that's a really powerful thing you just said, because obviously, you know, when you talk about locker rooms and when you talk about just people in general, like, no, I would say, like the mass of America, it's not, when people say hurtful stuff in confidence to each other, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it's not with the intent of fully going after another person.
Yeah. It's not even a direction of hurting someone. It's just a frustration put into words, and you know, that's all it is.
Maybe it's a joke. Maybe
it could be a joke. Like my sense of humor is talking mad shit and then I'm over it. You know, like it's not a big deal to me. There's
a great deal of comedy that deals primarily with shock value, the art of shock value, and the art of saying something that you probably shouldn't say. Granted, you know, there's definitely context issues, and there's like.
Well, life lesson is you can talk all the shit you want, but what I've learned is don't put it in writing, and that's what I did. I put it in writing, and you know, my fault. You know, I take responsibility for all that shit, but if you want to talk shit, do it verbally. You know, because then it's he said, she said, everyone just pointing fingers, and there's no evidence. But going back to like locker room talk, like I could have said that what I said out loud, and it would just been blown over. Like, well, we can't do anything about that. So
not that anybody would either. It sounds like that this is primarily maybe it was is there any reason to believe this was a coordinated attack? Like, was someone trying to get you off the team?
I mean, maybe. I mean, I know the Bananas as having an open door policy. You know, like you come and talk to them if there's anything going on, or like you got issues, or there's friction points. Because we would always have a form to fill out like monthly or every 2 months about, hey, do you see any friction points we can work out? But I was I don't know how to say it. Like I was the one they were gunning for because I was so outspoken and I expressed myself. And sure, I maybe caused some friction, but hey, I'm a baseball player and I want what's right for the guys, and I want what's right for the show and what makes sense.
Right.
So, I mean, the Bananas do have the open door policy, but it's like we would ask questions and then they would shut us down, or they would ignore it, or they would, you know, there would be some stuff where it's like, well, where's the help? Like we're asking these questions and we're not getting help with, you know? Like one instance was, we were doing a showdown and we agreed the day before, even that day of the game, it's supposed to be a handoff. If you walk a guy, it's supposed to be a handoff from the catcher to the pitcher, right? So we agreed. In that time of the game with the showdown, Banana player walks a batter, and he gets to run all the way around, and the catcher ends up tossing it a good 15 feet to the pitcher, so making the guy out at home. So the pitcher would have to chase the runner around the bases, and once he hits third, he can throw it home. But the deal was it's a handoff instead of a toss. So that's things where like we lose trust in that whole system, because it's like, well, the party animal saw that as an illegal toss, whereas the Bananas are celebrating and trying to justify, oh no, it was like a small toss, and you watch the replay, it's literally a 15-20 foot toss. So it's like, it's always there's always, I mean, obviously, you know, where they're competing and both teams want to win. But
right.
I mean, it's as small as that, where it's like, well, you said one thing and now you're doing another and you're trying to justify it. Yeah. And that kind of just goes in the whole like organization. I even worked in the merchandise warehouse, and it's like you got other departments trying to direct how the merchandise department is trying to do things and organize, and then it just creates a whole conflict. And it's like, well, who's really right and who's got the power to, it kind of just becomes all a clusterfuck. And
for sure.
So like that's where a bunch of frustration built up, and that's probably where it started from the beginning of the season to that point of me getting like released. To my own fault, I kept on building a snowball, just kept asking questions and talking, and then come to find out, I get cut, and maybe like only probably a couple weeks ago is when I realized, like, you probably did, but you ever hear that saying? I don't know if it's a saying, but like if a coach doesn't talk to you, that means he doesn't care. But if he's yelling at you and telling you to do things right, like that coach or parent actually cares.
For sure. Yeah.
So that's what I started to realize looking back is like, no one talked to me. No one was telling me to be quiet. No one was asking me like, hey man, how you doing? Like no one was getting in my face about these things that I would bring up and kind of stir the pot with.
Right. And
I was like, okay, so I was sought out to find a way to get me out of there. That's how I saw it, because no one was talking to me. Like the only talk I got was our midseason coaches and player talk, and they're like, "You're doing everything great. The only thing that you're not doing great is keeping your mouth shut." Is basically, that's not what they said, but that's what they were intending. Is you just got to keep your mouth shut and go about your business.
Yeah, I think just as far as, I think it's really important, just shedding light in the whole locker room talk and that general like ecosystem. There are definitely words and phrases that unconditionally you can never say in locker room, in life, and,
right.
Like there, and it needs no reminder. There's a couple words, phrases, just like, read the room or not read the room. You can never say those things. Shadow.
Right.
And then you have your ballpark of things where it's like, okay, it's all context based. It's all like, if you say something and someone, hears it in context with what someone just said 5 minutes ago, it's funny. It's part of this joke, and it disintegrates into the ether of things you said in person that you don't collect. In your case, documentation fucked you over.
Exactly. Documentation and a player that was out to get me, honestly. I mean, I'm not trying to play the victim here, because I take full responsibility again of everything that I did to lead up to that point, to me getting caught, to me saying the stupid shit that I said. And I wish that never happened, because I know I was the best on that field in entertainment. But in the end, it was cool to see the Party Animals win. They won the tour. So that was a cool part. They put on the best show ever. And I'm so happy that I got to be a part of it. And, it's such a platform that I enjoyed sharing who I am and what I could bring to the table as far as Savannah Banana Ball show, the greatest show in sports.
I think this is a really good opportunity for you to kind of, the next phase of your life. There's so many question marks. There's so many doors that could be opened. As this podcast itself, you're basically creating a forum for conversations that are both comfortable and uncomfortable among young men and young athletes, people that are struggling in different areas. Likewise, whether they're, I think cancel culture has done some things.
Cancel culture can suck it. That's right.
Cancel culture has proven that while it is important to keep ourselves accountable and obviously to maintain a good mindset and public appearance and watching what you say, I don't appreciate the random digging and the various stringing of documentation without context, and because like think about Bill Burr's got this saying. Bill Burr, this is his
I
joke.
love Bill Burr.
He's the best. I'm not trying to trademark this. I'm just trying to just rehash it.
That's real comedy because he speaks facts in a comedy way. Like,
right.
Literally.
Is saying the shit that you obviously, maybe
it's saying the shit that people think but won't say, but they know it's true.
Right. The hesitation, and it's like hesitant to say in front of a mic. He just says, I don't give a fuck, and says it. He's got this bit where if you were to go before a judge and basically recite a written documentation of what was said between you and your sexual partner. Like, for example, let's say the woman the woman's like, she's like, harder, and she's like, no, stop it, no. He's like, the problem with if you take something that is written,
that bit.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And she's basically saying, no, stop it, don't do it. But she's like, no, do it, like, harder.
Yeah.
Right? A judge is going to read that like, sir, you clearly violated her sense of consent and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, that's not even close. You had to be there.
It's not how the context was. Like, you had to be there to know, like, she was saying almost slow down, but give it to me. You know, like,
exactly.
It's
life is all.
If you haven't watched Bill Burr, people go and watch that. Like, watch that. Go watch Dave Chappelle.
Yep.
Go watch all these guys that the world society is trying to cancel because they're speaking facts.
Life is all about context, and that's primarily their main ethos. And I think that's a great ethos for you. Is like, you could, like, the listeners can obviously go on Twitter and then go on the internet and see what you said and kind of make their own assessment. The way I see it, and the way you mentioned earlier, is that baseball, like life, is about second chances. And you had 3 strikeouts, an out, an error, whatever it is you had. It's about the next at bat, whether it's physically, metaphysically. And I'm really proud of your growth. And it's a tough thing to face the music of a career or a situation.
It sucks. It still sucks.
But you're doing it. But you're doing it for the good of others right now. Like, this podcast is hopefully going to generate some good. So,
I wouldn't have started this podcast if I don't get fired. I'll tell you that much, because I'd be like, okay, it's almost season time. I just got signed again. I'm ready to go on the 3rd tour.
Right.
And then I was in a rut for 2 months, just traveling and trying to escape and forget about Party Animals and like Savannah Bananas. But then I meet a freaking amazing guy, Michael Lynn, and we go and travel this country, city to city, party it up, and we end up going to this emotional intelligence program where it literally changed my life and how I look at things and how I need to stop victimizing myself and how I need to be a more loving, compassionate, and grateful man. And, the journey of my life and what has happened to me, I'm realizing, like, everything does happen for a reason. And, there's only bigger and better things to come. Like, yes, I would freaking love to be on the Party Animal still and still kicking ass, still putting on a freaking show. Like, I have so many random stupid ideas to, that I'd want to do still. But, like, the growth the last 6 months that I've had, has absolutely changed my life. I wouldn't have met you. There's so many people I wouldn't have met, so many things I wouldn't have done, so many new goals that I have now that I could focus on. Right. Like next year, I might be playing in Europe, and that's what I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to play in Europe. Wow. So I'm going to, I'm still going to play baseball, but at the same time, these 6 months, the next 4 months until hopefully I go play in Europe, I'm able to focus on new goals and really look inward and see what kind of person I want to be and what I really want in life. And that's to attract good people, have good energy, because what you think, what you do attracts everything else. So if I think positive, surround myself with great people, high energy, that's what's going to come back to me, so. I'm so grateful for all the shit that's happened, because without failures, there's no success.
Wow. Yeah. And I just want to just put a cherry on top. It looks like the chat feed is already blown up here. I'm
not even looking at it.
And I can read it to you. It's a nice comment someone left. It says, "Thank you for your story and for your honesty, respect." At the end of the day, that's what you're after. You're after just the cleanest, most organic version of yourself, and it looks like it's being well received. I'm really excited for you to take this podcast journey. I'm happy you brought me on today as sort of like your guide through yourself. I mean, it's not really an interview. It's kind of like
this is just bro chat telling stories, bro.
Right, exactly.
I mean, if it's in your schedule, then you might have to be my co-host for the rest of my life, especially if this blows up.
Oh man, it would be it'd be fun to see that happen. It's been a real pleasure, Breland, and I'm happy that you're taking your voice and you're forming the No Filter Network. We're listener, we're a place we accept any and all people with a good story. And
that's right. Anyone is welcome.
We are very pro second chances here. That's kind of life, and that's sort of the ethos of why Breland has come forward with his story, because when one door closes and perhaps slams shut, another one.
That thing's locked right now.
There's definitely,
like you said, like you were about to say, there's many other doors that are going to open and have opened.
Right. All right, man.
Thank you to freaking Henry, dude. Thank you so much. Thank you to No Filter. This is only one. Many more to come, right? So
what does the future look like for this? What is next week's or next episode's edition feel like to you?
I want to make it one a week. So if I can, I will find somebody. I'm gonna put that out there into the universe. I need to find somebody to get next Thursday's show on, and then we can talk about them and less about me. And we can hear more stories. We can hear more stories and more things that people can relate to. Whether it be baseball, Savannah Bananas, mental, physical health, EQ, right. I mean, whatever. I want people to be free, to find freedom and expression in this society and world that's trying to control us. So I want people to have fun and live a great life, live their dream.
Good stuff, man.
But
any closing words from episode 1 of Peeling the Banana?
Nope, but Smoothie King out. You can find me on IG, _Smoothie King. So follow up, guys. There's going to be more. Thank you again, Henry. You were amazing, dude. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me on.
But we'll see everybody. Peace out. Aloha.